another Silverbird Selection game review. It's time to look at a game that was originally released by Activision Software in 1984 and then re-released in the Silver Range packaging in 1987. It's River Raid. And this game of course originated on the Atari 2600 back in 1982, so quite an old game by the time this release came out. Pretty rare game to find out there, and my copy cost me £1.84 because it came as part of a bundle, but in this packaging it is quite a hard game to find. I've seen it go for £10 or more on eBay. So let's take a look at River Raid. Okay, so let's start off by looking at the packaging as always, but firstly the observant among you might notice that something's missing from the background of this shot compared to normal. My BBC Micro has gone off to be repaired because I want to do some game reviews or game features on BBC Micro games at some point in the future. So moving back to the packaging, pretty nice this, Silver Range packaging of course. We've got the River Raid logo at the top there, that's quite nicely done. And then the image of the jet blasting away from a bridge that's just blown up, and there's also a ship in the river there that's been blown up as well. What's quite interesting is, this isn't the same artwork as the original game when it was released by Activision, but I'm going to put that up next to this cover here, and you can see that it's almost like a before and after image. So the original Activision one, the jet going towards the bridge, and here you've got it coming away from the bridge, so I quite like that, that's quite funny. So anyway, moving around onto the spine, you can see the River Raid logo and the image in the background wraps around. As usual, we've got a couple of screenshots, pretty similar, with the overview of the river bridge there on the top left one. And then the info about the game on the back says, a mission to test both your skill and your trigger finger. So moving inside, looking at the inlay, you can see the usual list of forthcoming or already available Silver Range games. But at the bottom here, someone who's previously owned this has put their name. And I may be mistaken, but to me that looks like it says Graham Taylor. Now, whether that was Graham Taylor, the former England and Aston Villa manager, or another Graham Taylor, we'll never know. But perhaps that Graham Taylor, when he was not managing England or Aston Villa or Watford, was actually a fan of Activision games. Who knows? Anyway, moving on. Mail order information, pretty standard stuff there. And then we move on to the instructions themselves. River Raid, copyright 83 and 84 Activision. Simple game instructions there. You're a fighter pilot with an important but deadly mission. Destroy a number of vital enemy bridge links that are well defended by helicopter gunships, deadly land tanks, ships and observation balloons. You must fly down the river valley and destroy the bridges at every opportunity. Loading instructions, and then the gameplay instructions, again pretty simple. It's just use a joystick with the fire button. There's a variety of levels with one player and high score format, or a two-player game. For two players, a second joystick must be attached. Don't know why I'm reading all this because I'm not going to be doing any two-player games anyway. Bonus jet awarded for 10,000 points. Maneuver your way down the meandering river valley, blah blah blah, blow stuff up, and also collect fuel. Chocks away and good luck, it says at the bottom. So the loading screen is just slowly drawing itself onto the screen line by line, and we've seen this before, or very similar at least, with the combined Firebird and Activision logos. Name of the game at the bottom there, and this comment at the bottom that says please remove any cart, for example Action Replay 3 or Fast Load. So yeah, seen that before. Pretty nice loading screen, which is exclusive to this Firebird version because obviously the original Activision version wouldn't have had the Firebird logo on it. So the game's loaded, and as you can see it's rolling through a demo of the landscapes that you're going to be flying through in your jet fighter. There's no title screen or anything like that, no music. Pretty simple presentation, as with a lot of these early Activision games. They're slightly improved on the Atari 2600 versions, but not by much. So you can use the F3 key to choose some options. As you can see, I'm flipping through them there. So I'm just going to play Game 1, Bridge 1. So when you're ready to start, you just press F1 and then start moving the joystick. So you're a jet flying down the river, and you've got to shoot everything other than the fuel tanks, which you can pick up, and you need to pick up periodically to top up your fuel, which is always deteriorating or running out. It doesn't really deteriorate. And every so often you'll come to a bridge which you need to blast through to progress to the next level, and on it goes. Pretty simple stuff. Very early example of a vertically scrolling shoot 'em up. Ooh, nearly got hit there. You can alter the speed that you're flying at by pushing up and down on the joystick, so you can speed up and you can also slow down a little bit, which sometimes you need to do when you get to the bridge. You just top up on some fuel. You just top up on the fuel by flying through the fuel tanks. I'm sure you know this. I'm sure most of you watching this have played River Raid on some system or another. So I'm preaching to those that already know, I think. So one little thing you can do, I'll do it after I've got to this bridge, is you can actually move the direction of the bullet. As if you push left or right as you fire, it will move the bullet across the screen slightly. So various obstacles to shoot or various enemies to shoot. There's helicopters, boats, balloons, bridges, tanks. You can't really shoot the tanks, but you can blow some of them up if you're lucky and they're crossing over the bridge. You get more points that way as well. Graphically, pretty simple stuff. They are slightly improved from the Atari 2600, certainly in the definition of the sides of the river. Oops. Let's try that again. Oops, that was close as well. Yeah, so the graphics, you've got the little mountains on the side of the river. You've also got more jaggedy edges than you had on the 2600. The ship, for some reason, they've changed the colour of your craft to blue instead of yellow, but otherwise it's exactly the same and not particularly nicely drawn. They could have done a better job with that on the Commodore 64. The score readout display is definitely nicer than on the 2600. A bit more detail to that with your score. Got a high score on there and number of planes and things like that. You didn't have all that stuff on the... oh dear, I got blown up by a tank there. On the Atari version. But yeah, otherwise it's very similar. Nothing outstanding graphically. And sounds, again, just the basics. You've got shooting noises, jet noises, tank bomb noises, and that's about it. Explosions when you blow stuff up. So it's just a matter of getting as high a score as you can, making your way down the river and getting through as many levels as possible. I'm a bit low on fuel here because I keep shooting the fuel tanks instead of... oh dear, that was awful as well. I've only got one life left now. Oh dear, that was awful. But is there any point in playing it again? Let's start from Bridge 5 and see if we can get a little bit further. So if we go back to the options, you can start... Game 3 starts at Bridge 5, but it's a one-player game, so let's give that a shot. Because I am better than my demonstration just showed, I promise. Oops. Let's get some fuel. Oops, again. There you can see you can blow the tank up when it's on the bridge if you time it right. Sometimes the tank's on there when you approach it and sometimes it isn't. Not a lot else to say about the game really. I'm just going to plod along and see. That was a close one, but I managed to get the tank as well there. Plod along and see if I can get a bit further than I did in the first game. Should be able to, because so far I've not lost any lives, and I think this is about as far as I got last time. This is going to be tricky. Yeah, that explosion, you must have to wait for that to disappear before you blast through it. So yeah, that's the trickiest bit of the game up to that point, I think, other than when you make mistakes. There we go. I think I'm further than I was the first time around now, so at least I can have some pride in my work. I guess sometimes it just comes down to talking whilst playing. You don't necessarily see the best gaming skills. Not that I'm the best gamer in the world anyway. That was nice. I managed to get everything there. That's a narrow channel to go through. Wow, and that bit is. This is getting a little bit more tricky now, as you'd expect. As the levels progress, it becomes more treacherous to try and worm your way through the different river channels and things. But overall, I think it's quite a nice game. It's pretty simple stuff. It's just a high score challenge. from the early era of gaming really, so not expecting too much, but I don't think it's aged particularly badly. Although I don't seem to be able to get past this section with these helicopters in. That was close as well. I'd like to try and get 10,000 points, because you do get an extra life at 10,000 and I need it now. I'm not sure that's going to pan out particularly well though. Oh, that was close. Oh, I've done it again, crashed into the explosion. Well, there you go. You're not going to see any more from me. You get the idea. It's River Raid. Most of you have probably played it before anyway. There's not a lot of point me talking about it anymore. So let's move on to the review scores. So firstly, the packaging I thought was pretty nice. I like the jet on the front. Simple instructions, but well defined inside as well. So I'm going to go with 8 out of 10 for the packaging. Presentation's pretty simple. I do like the bar across the bottom of the screen, plenty of information on there with the fuel gauge as well and the Activision logo. So I'm going to give it 6 for presentation, even though it's fairly simplistic. Graphics are very simple, a bit of an enhancement on the Atari 2600 but not by much, so 5 out of 10 for them. And the sound, again, very simple, but it does the job. Some music would be nice, but you know, you can't expect too much from these early releases. So I'm going to go with 5 again for the sound, although that might be a tad generous. And finally, playability, 7 out of 10 for the playability. Perfectly playable game, good fun for a short blast, although you're not going to get much longevity out of it. So I'm going to keep it nice and simple there. Overall score then is 6.8. And I think it's worth the $1.99 asking price, even though by the time it came out, released by Firebird in 1987, there were a lot better vertical shooters out there. It's still perfectly playable. And the fact you can have an alternating 2-player mode adds a little bit of competitiveness to it as well. So there you go. Short and sweet really, especially compared to the last review I did. That's my review of River Raid. If you've got any thoughts about the game, then let me know in the comments. And we're going to head over to Brody for another game choice right now. So it's game selection time once again, and the 2 games to choose from this time are both platform games. So we've got Mad Nurse and we've also got Peter Packrat. So Brody's waiting to come and choose the games, and again we've got a couple of treats in the run up to the 2 games, and I've unleashed some special treats this time. We've got chicken treats on the top of each game as well as some treats in front and behind. So let's see which game he chooses. He's having a good look at them, reading the back. Oh, he's knocked one over again. And he's knocked over Peter Packrat. I think he's eaten everything off the other one as well. So that means next time around we'll be playing Mad Nurse. Join me for that review in the near future. Thanks for watching this video, and I'll see you again soon.